Women are swiping left on the bottom 95% of men. Oh my God. Women match with 36% of those they like, while men match with less than 2%. So basically, women have like a 1 in 3 chance of having a guy like them back, but men have a 1 in 50 chance. That's the meme. Yep. The meme is unironically real.
Men can't believe that women are single by choice because men aren't single by choice.
There are plenty of men out there who are single by choice. I just feel like some of us ladies cannot fathom a man choosing to opt out because we think we're the prize. We think we bring so much value. But the reality is, as we demand more and more and give so much less, dating is becoming less and less worth it for men. We're gonna see more men opt out here.
I think dating coaches suck, but I also understand that since, back to what we were discussing before, women don't like to hear the truth and they want it from a palatable presentation. Women sometimes can get through to women better than I can, right? And these women standing here saying, POV, we're hot and no men approach us. This is a symptom of modern feminism, okay? The reason why men aren't approaching these women is because women have become insufferable, rude, low IQ, rambunctious, masculine, crass headaches, okay?
I've been out with guys who I've had a date and I went back to their place and yeah, maybe I wanted to have sex with them too.
Yeah.
And we did, and it was just kind of like I'm not feeling it anymore.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go home, like whatever.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you are sort of expecting another date, let's say, after that, but then you're kind of off. And then if they didn't call your Uber home, then it's just like, okay, I'm going to call my Uber. And it's like, okay, bye. It's a weird ending, right? You want to, if she doesn't want to have sex with you, you have to respect that.
Modern women do things and they say things that cause a man to check out. They act in a certain way. They behave in a certain way that makes a man step back and be like, I don't know if I should share that with her.
Okay, this is for you if you feel like there are no good guys left out in the world. I promise you, there are. There are good men, there are kind men, there are compassionate men. Just don't settle. Don't settle. Don't entertain these clowns who, you know, just want to hang out with you and don't actually want to take you on dates. Don't even entertain them. Wait for the right one, the one who loves you and is kind to you and who values you. Do not even entertain the ones who don't do that.
What's going on, fellas? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below. Let's get back to the video.
Okay, last little video just to clarify certain things. Men are not just valuable on what they could provide materialistically. They need to be emotionally intelligent, spiritually attuned, and protect. Of course, I want him to spider. I want him to get the invader if there was someone to invade. And this is super, super important if you're a feminine woman or you want to start to cultivate and make your feminine energy more rich. And that's something that matters to you. And you know what? At the end of the day, all the men could cry about my content that I put and released out today. But at the end of the day, if you don't have those things, you're never going to attract a feminine woman. You actually attract masculine women. So it's totally up to you. You could do what you wish with my content. You could change. If you want a feminine woman, then be more masculine. If you don't, then have fun with those masculine women.
And another thing that modern women do is, well, you know, I want you to be open and honest and transparent and vulnerable with me. But when I decide I don't want to tell you something, well, I don't have to, and that's optional for me.
Don't leave a good man because he has a wife. You met a married man that is rich, that is giving you everything you need. Don't leave him. Don't allow the wife to stop you from achieving what you're meant to achieve. Achieve everything that you want to achieve with that man. Oh. Don't leave him because of his wife. He gets wife, not supposed to concern you. Even if your wife call me to threaten you, my sister, don't listen to her. Don't leave that man. Don't leave the husband. He's a good man to you. He's your destiny helper. Don't leave your destiny helper. How would you leave your destiny helper because of his wife? Do whatever you want to do with that man. Achieve everything that you want to achieve with that man. Then you can tell him bye. You get? Clockheads.
You see, even for both young and old men, a lot of them are deciding that the chaos, the noise, the drama, the nonsense really isn't worth it. And they're choosing peace instead of whatever modern women have going on.
I
have women asking me this question almost every single day. Where are all the good men? How do we find a man like yours? And I'm going to trigger some of you with my response here. So if you are not willing, ready, or able to be triggered today, scroll on. If you are brave enough, here is my response. If you are wondering where all the good men are in your life, I would ask you, are you willing to do the work, to look in the mirror for long enough to understand why you are unable to see the good in the men who are already in your life? If you want some help with that work, I'm here. I've done it, and that's why I can see them everywhere.
I made a video about how men are not really asking women any questions when they take them on dates. And a lot of the comments were like, yeah, I just stopped talking because, if they're not asking me questions back, I just stop asking them questions and then we sit in silence. My issue, I don't like silence at all. I don't like it at all. Like when I wake up in the morning, I immediately put on music or podcast. And that's definitely because I can't be alone with my own thoughts, but that's a TikTok for another time. So for me, if I stop asking the guy questions and he's not asking me anything and there's silence, I start to panic and then I'll go in again and I'll ask him a follow-up question about his boring commercial real estate job. I'll say, do you have to go to the office every day? Do you like that? Oh, no, tell me again about your brother's golf tournament. And then the irony is the guy always thinks that the date was amazing because I've given him a combination of a Netflix comedy special and free therapy. And he thinks it was fantastic and I'm exhausted.
I think another one of the issues is that when you listen to these modern women and the things that they say, it's always that a man has to be finished while you are still a work in progress. Do you think that's fair that a man has to deal with you and your BS while he has to be the perfect specimen?
Absolutely, yes, a guy should pay for the date.
Even if the woman's going on 2 dates in the same night?
Irregardless, a guy should absolutely pay for the date.
In any circumstance?
Absolutely,
How about
yes.
this? There's no circumstance under which you think a man should be alleviated of a duty to pay for a date.
No, I think.
Let me ask you this. She's having so she has a buddy, and prior to the date that she's going on with this man, this other man inside of her. So when she's on that date with this other man, she literally has another man's seed leaking out of her. Now, and you would agree, a man paying for a date is traditional.
Absolutely.
Traditional gender role.
Yes.
Do you think it's traditional to show up to a date with another man's inside of you?
I mean, that's a hypothetical.
You're right. I'm
Yeah,
asking you to
exactly.
engage with the hypothetical.
Yes, I still believe that. Yeah, definitely.
So, okay, so tradition for men.
Yeah.
Modernity, freedom for women.
Yes, I absolutely believe that he should still pay for the date. He's still open to knowing that she's...
These modern women continue to say, oh, well, we don't need men. And then when a man steps back and goes and does his own thing, because he ain't waiting hand and foot on you, then you... where'd you go? I went to go mind my business. That's where I went.
Females like, oh... dudes ain't obsessed with us like they used to be no more. What's going on? Then, they throw out the G word. They must be the G word. And it's like, nah, like, really make this make sense. Like, why the I'm about to be obsessed over something that when it leave me or it's gone, like, I'm going to feel a sense of relief. Like, y'all really bring no value to a man's life to the point where it's like, when you leave me, only thing you was doing was subtracting from me. So now when you leave, I can finally build and put pieces together. Why would I be obsessed with losing something that was draining me? I'm not about to be obsessed with that. You ain't doing nothing. Back in the day, when a man lost a woman, she provided so much value that it's like, I gotta figure it out. This is crazy. Like, shorty did A, B, C, da-da-da-da-da. Now it's like, only thing y'all do is look cute. Only thing y'all do is look beautiful. That's it. No patience. No loyalty, no value other than the face. And then be like, I'm not obsessed with that. That's everywhere. If I know only thing I'm getting from being with you is a crazy, weird attitude and a pretty face, it's not going to be hard for me to forget that.
It honestly seems like the way a lot of these modern women talk, they've never even really truly been around a man. They're making these demands. They're saying what a man should and shouldn't be. And some of them, they do make sense, but there's a lot of them to where you're like, where'd you even get that from?
I'm not gonna you. you, you're probably not going to meet a woman on a dating app if you're a straight man. Unless you're conventionally attractive and tall, or you have a good job and you're a really interesting person with an interesting profile. And if you're not conventionally attractive, it's probably hard for you to meet women when you're out at a bar. Women aren't any more or less shallow than men when it comes to attraction. Women have the upper hand on dating apps because too many men are on dating apps. The only way you're going to meet women who are eligible for you to date is through friends. And not just as an introduction at a party. I'm talking about your friends vouching for you to people who you are interested in dating. That's how you'll meet your future wife. Women hang out in circles with people who share their values, not just their interests. So if you want a woman of depth and substance, you're gonna have to have friends who also have depth and substance. Instead of viewing every woman you meet as a potential lover, view them as a friend with the potential to introduce you to a lover. Every woman you meet is a potential center of a social circle of eligible bachelorettes that she can one day introduce you to. And in order for her to give her approval of you, you're gonna have to become a man worthy of that approval. I'm starting a support group for men who aren't getting laid. Follow along and stay up to date on when we launch.
And this type of, controlling nature that modern women have, even though they try to keep it subtle, it really turns a man off. It's something that men are frustrated with. You just try, everything that you say is right and everything that I say is wrong. Everything that you do is right and everything that I do is wrong.
So my friend just messaged me and she let me know that her man is building her a home. I feel like we culturally have gone so far and left that we're coming all the way back around to the right. It really could be so simple. Safety. You create the house, we make it a home. It's beautiful when it works. You hear all these coaches online talk about polarity. What is polarity? You bring food, I make sandwich. You know? I just feel like it could be so simple. And we really are coming back down to it. Dudes, if you are providing for a woman and she's like, I don't want to cook. Why are you sticking around? Plenty of us want to cook. Or plenty of us want to work, and you can be the stay-at-home dad. If you want to do that, cool. Whatever. But, clarify the rules. The problem is when one person is doing everything. I literally have had so many men come to me and be like, I cook, I clean, I pay the bills, I take care of the babies, what? How did this happen? And why are you still there? Boundaries. Setting your standards at the beginning. Setting your needs clear. Making them clear at the beginning and then having the cojones to leave if your needs are not being met early on, not 6 years later being like, this is not what I signed up for. It is, sir. It is if you put up with the at the beginning. Anyways, that was a long rant just to say that I think that we're coming back around, guys. We're coming back around. It's a very exciting time to be alive.
What modern women need to understand that is that chivalry isn't free. You have to be respectful, right? You have to make sure that, people are nice to you, but you have to make sure you're reciprocating and giving back what was given to you. So many times today, modern women don't want to do that.
No expectations at all. If I go out with friends, I don't expect them to pay. Going on a date with someone is not going out with friends. Truly resent the fact that society has come to this. My comments of that other video saying that we should be having a conversation before we go on a first date about who's gonna pay. Our parents or grandparents have discussions about how we were gonna split the bill. Call it traditional, call it antiquated. It destroys the polarity. That is the biggest turnoff. If a guy came to me wanting to have a conversation about how we were going to pay for our first date, I am barfing. We are not going on a date. That's the end of that. I say it, beta behavior. It's such a turnoff. I promise you, if you go on a date with a guy and he doesn't pay, you will subconsciously respect him so much less if he is expecting you to pay your way. Not only that, but he will respect you less. We want to be cared for. We want to be provided for. We want to be supported by a man. I'm not saying that we have to be 100% financially supported. Whether you want to agree with it or not, we're playing roles. There are gender roles, okay? Men have certain roles and women have certain roles. If you're going to expect him to pay, then he can expect from you because he paid for the date. What? Those are the types of men that you're going out with that expect that they are buying your body when they pay for a meal. Unfortunate for you, because I don't date people like that. Good man is not going to expect you to put out on the first date just because he paid for dinner. But the part that I do agree with, though, is that he is going to fulfill his duty. I'm going to fulfill mine. What's my duty? My duty is looking pretty.
A lot of men just decide that, once again, the juice isn't really worth the squeeze. Modern women continue to put themselves in a plethora of situations and expect a man to get them out of it. And when you have to show up being Superman or Spider-Man or some sort of hero in the chaos that everybody made, how do you think a man is going to respond over time?
To own that he did it on purpose, to own that the impact that was happening over here, he meant to cause that. Instead of, it's nothing. He usually wouldn't say anything. Thank you. And he just wander away. I mean, I would not be with, there's such lame names for it, boyfriend, sweetheart, lover, playmate, adventure buddy. I wouldn't be with Dan if it were not that he has a phenomenal ability to receive and a phenomenal ability to own that he gave on purpose. And his "you're welcome," it heals me again and again and again. Thank you for that. You're welcome. And even when I'm not saying thank you, like the first time I talked to him on the phone and he said something that really rattled me. Oh gosh, I was so rattled. And I just called it. Okay, I was going to go in one direction. You went in a different direction. And my nervous system is whacked right now. Could you just hold space for a few minutes so I could reset? Sure.
It's not really rocket science, man. If a man watches his buddy get divorced, lose half his stuff, do you think that he's going to want to get married? Really? Probably not. When I watch you talk reckless and crazy, do you think I'm going to want to marry you? Probably not.
This is a question I have for the men in particular. As a man, when you are communicating via FaceTime, texting, you're taking a woman out that you are presumably interested in because you want to talk to her, what keeps you from asking her questions about herself to get to know her more? Like, I'm genuinely curious because we hear so many women be like, oh, men don't ask me questions, guys don't ask me questions about myself, but we never think to ask the men why it is like that, And I don't think this is universal across all men, right? Because I have met a couple gems that genuinely engage in conversation, ask questions to get to know me. But it's only a very small fraction of the majority of men that I've met that simply are like inept or unable to ask me questions about myself. And it doesn't have to be like an interview or interrogation. It's just naturally engaging in conversation. Asking somebody something, they answer, you kind of follow up and conversation flows and they ask you questions back. Like, why is that such a difficult task to some people? And I don't want to hear, oh, he's just not interested in you, so he's not asking you questions. He just doesn't like you. Because if that's the case, why are you trying to talk to me? Why are you asking me out? Why are you asking me out on repeated dates? Why are you texting me? Like, if you're not interested, leave me alone. And it goes so far to the point where I actually had an ex that wanted to be with me and marry me that did not know how to ask me a single question about myself ever besides, how was your day? And I could have said, oh, the building blew up next to me this morning. And he would have been like, oh, cool, LeBron dropped 30 tonight. And it's like, you can't follow the natural cues of a flowing conversation. So you just say something. So it's like, why do we all do that? Is it because of a lack of ability to know what to ask a girl? But then again, it's like, you could just ask anything. Is it because you genuinely just do not care and you just want to talk about yourself? Is it, I don't know. So if you are a man that has genuine insight that's not blaming the woman, please enlighten me a little bit.
Most of these men, most men stick around for a while, but modern women continue to fumble these types of men over and over again. Over and over again. And then they continue asking a question. But you notice that the questions never go inward. What did I do wrong? how can I be better? Nope. Why doesn't he like me? And it's not like, well, man, it's about me that he doesn't like. It's more about, man, I'm so perfect. Wow. Why he don't get a load of this?
On the day my divorce was final, I'll never forget what my ex said to me. He looked me right in the eyes and he said, "You're going to regret this. You're going to get 6 months down the road and you're going to regret divorcing me." And you know what? He's right. I did have regret.
I see this shit happening more and more often, man. Genuinely. A lot of the times women will leave their man, their husband, for however many years that they had them. And, oh, well, the grass is greener. I'm going to go and get this guy. I'm going to go do this. And, I'm happy. And, the grass is never greener. I want men and women to understand that. If you have a good partner, if you have someone good by your side that takes care of you and appreciates you, doesn't go out and cheat on you, what the are you doing? Whether you're a girl, woman, circle in between, what are you doing? The grass is greener where you water it. You work on that. You build that. Nothing's overnight. No relationship is perfect. I don't give a who you are. I don't care. It don't matter who you are. And, it's a cold game we're playing out here, boys. Pick and choose wisely. Get with someone who loves God. Get with someone who has that relationship with God. You guys pray together. Fix it together. Work on it together with God. That is what we are supposed to do. And I hope more people can hear this message and really understand that.
What is the most icky thing that a guy can do? Imagine you go out and he orders a matcha. Men used to go to war.
Less than 2% of men actually served the military, and those that went to war, most of them were getting cheated on with men who didn't go to war. But y'all don't want to talk about that. I'm part of the 2%. I served 8 years in the Navy, and I used to tell people all the time because it didn't take long to know because it's human behavior. But every time people came, whether they're men or women, they'd come to the ship happy, in love. They got that long-term boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance back home. And I told them at max 6 months, you won't be talking to each other. And it never took more than a couple months. Never took more than a couple months. Out of everyone that came to the ship in my 3 years on that ship, one out of all of them, one. And they're happily married with kids today. One. The rest of them either cheated or got cheated on. Right? So when y'all go, men used to go to war, yeah, and y'all used to cheat on them with men who didn't go to war. The more you know.
He doesn't want to be in a relationship with anyone. That's a real thing. A lot of times, and because he's still hurt, because he's still experienced something. Because see, what do you think about men? Men hurt too, y'all. Men have issues, and everything. All of the reasons why a man doesn't want to be in a relationship with you has nothing. It doesn't always have to be he has a nefarious type of intention. All right. Some of it is he's got trauma because y'all, it's some women out here doing some foul too. It's some women out here doing things that are not. You make no mistake about it. They out here cheating too, just as much as men. If you don't believe me, I am the relationship coach on a show called Unfaithful Caught in the Act. And believe me, a lot of the women out here cheating too. And so many men don't want to be in a relationship because they haven't healed. All right, because they're afraid too. They've been hurt too. It's a lot of men out there. And then what a lot of women do is they call these men who are good to them simps. They call these men and they try to use them. You try to use the man and he's a simp because he want to treat you good. He's a simp because he ain't trying to come over every night. He's a simp because he wants to help you take care of something. He's a simp because he want to cut your grass. And then you ain't into him. You're not into him. You into this.
I've been thinking about why all the men in my comments feel so outraged and so angry about some of the advice I'm giving, and I want to share a theory. They seem to be really upset that they're having to put in a lot of work and a lot of, perceived effort, and that they're not really getting anywhere with women. And I want to talk about why I think this is. So I'm a millennial. I'm 36, and I think our generation of women were really the ones raised by this whole idea that women need to lean in. The Sheryl Sandberg, book and all of these ideas that women are just not trying hard enough in their careers to get what they want. So culturally, women are really being pushed to succeed and to make their own money and be more financially successful than ever before. But what's happening to the men? I think a lot of them become upset that no one's really there mentoring them or nurturing them in that way. And then they realize they've got a society full of women who really don't need them financially and are looking for emotionally supportive, equal partners. But who's trained the men to become those equal partners? While society is certainly changing, it's still tough for a lot of men to reach out for therapy or for mentorship or to get emotional support and nurturing, even today. And I think all of this anger that I'm getting from people in my comments is that they realize that they just haven't received the resources to be able to keep up and catch up with the women that they're trying to attract. And this is one of the reasons that I'm a men's dating coach. A lot of men want to be the modern, equitable partners for the women of their dreams, women who don't need them, but really want them.
The very first reason that I see that men are struggling to want to approach women is actually that we see there's research that indicates men are actually avoiding approaching women due to concerns about him feeling like there's a new concept of social norms, and he's afraid of facing potential backlash, which he might feel like she could react poorly. This research was in 2024, but basically what that means, which I understand is a little confusing, is men are feeling like maybe they are not supposed to be the one reaching out. Like maybe it's wrong to be dominant or going after what he wants. That might not be necessarily what he thinks is expected of him any longer. And so he feels like there's a new norm where he's not supposed to reach out, and he might receive backlash for doing that. Maybe he'll be called old-fashioned or controlling or whatever it may be, or he might feel like it might constitute around harassment or something of that sort, to which he feels he doesn't want to put himself in that position. Naturally, who would? And so he's feeling like he doesn't necessarily want to put himself in that kind of harm because that's harmful to him. And so that's the first reason. Again, research done in 2024. It's going to be in the description box. But the second reason I thought was really interesting, this study was done in 2018. And we actually saw that some men, actually many men, according to this research, but the sample size is kind of limited, but still, men prefer using dating apps or online platforms to meet potential partners instead of face-to-face because they feel like it's less intimidating for the female he's trying to approach, but also for himself. He might feel like it's safer for himself. He doesn't really know who she is either. And it's a lot easier than going up to some stranger and possibly getting humiliated in front of a bunch of people, or for her to say something cruel or painful or embarrassing, to which he might feel like a simpler vehicle to use to connect with other individuals is actually to use online dating apps. Now, I think this can be helpful, but I also think it can create a dynamic to which there are plenty of men on these apps. I don't know if this is true, but I think one of you guys said there was research on it. I didn't look into that particular research, but I think in the comments, a lot of you guys said there's a lot more men on dating apps. I don't know. I'm not familiar with dating apps. There are more men using them than ladies. And so I wonder if that's part of the dynamic, considering this research does say men prefer using dating apps. I wonder if that is why more men are on dating apps, because they prefer it over, I don't know. So in that way, maybe this could be used from another standpoint. Maybe you can get leverage by meeting people in person if this is one of the potential barriers. I don't know, but I imagine a lot of you guys can relate to this. Obviously, I'm not a man. I'm just sharing information, but I hope this part was helpful. I think some men actually do prefer face-to-face. But the other reason I think is more important for us to clarify, a lot of people actually in session even bring it up. And I've seen this where they're afraid to be perceived as creepy Like, particularly that word was pretty common, or like inappropriate.
So let's face it, the harsh reality is that the majority of men have been emasculated through society, through and through means of government assistance and incentivizing divorces and the separation of the nuclear family. For starters, let's start with child support, where it's something that was meant to be a temporary solution that became permanent. And so permanent that women have actually brainwashed themselves into believing that they don't need a man, even though they're replacing a man with the government, and by in turn, still needing a man. And men grow up every single day understanding that they are supposed to provide and protect, and the government has simply diminished them down to nothing by taking away their ability to provide and protect. And as a society, we almost promote this single motherhood culture so women can get more benefits. You see this also happen time and time again, where couples are married for maybe a decade and maybe the mother comes down with cancer. And now all of a sudden they have to get a divorce because she's eligible for more benefits as a single mother who is, divorced than she would being married to her husband. And this is a way that society is set up to tell men that either you can stay in the home or you have to work twice as hard and be away from your family, where essentially women will take control of the household. And he also is further emasculated by his leadership being taken away because he's out making money. He's trying to do his job and provide, where the women come in and they take over the ownership and the leadership of how the household is run. And essentially it diminishes them even further. Another example of this is in the workplace, where women have taken over men's spaces. For example, they want to work in trade jobs. Women are still given the lesser of the jobs, and a lot of these jobs have to meet certain quotas and hire women just to say that they are not discriminating. They are the protected class. So for example, a woman might want to be a mechanic, but she might take twice as long to get a job done because she can't have the physical strength to pick up tires and get them done in a timely manner to be able to basically be equal with the men. But essentially she still is going to get that job because they need women in that field. You also see this in training. We all have to take more sensitivity classes, or we have to take, gender bias classes. We have to learn how to talk to people a certain way in female dominated spaces. And they're only female dominated because we have to meet quotas of hiring a certain level or caliber of women, despite their ability to do the job correctly and right or fast enough. And that's like indirectly emasculating a man, because imagine you work 20 years in your trade and you have the skill level that is nowhere near a woman, but a woman steps in and gets a job and basically does office work, in the same field as you just because she's a woman. So all of the power and all of the ambition and all of the motivation that you felt getting that job and doing that job is simply being stripped away from you by default because we have to hire a certain number of women in a field. Even down to HR spaces. Some jobs never even had an HR department, but because now they're forced to hire women, now we have to accommodate a woman's experience in the way that we talk to them, how we greet them, how we show up. And men have to change everything about them to basically cater to these women, even though it's a male-dominated space. And if we don't cater to women, then we're considered toxic, or we're considered misogynistic, or, we hate women, even though that couldn't be further from the truth. Because the reality is that sometimes, even if you're a woman and you want to be in a certain trade, doesn't mean that you're qualified for that job. But now society has set it up where it doesn't matter if you're qualified or not. It just matters how many people we have in a certain space by gender. And let's just take this a step further. It's not just romantic relationships, but it's the way that women can emasculate men through their children, because his leadership goes out the window with the mother being home all day or being the primary caretaker in a divorce. So by default, he gets his children taken away, and it's incentivized again to take the power away from the men to be able to provide, but also having a father in the home. And let's not forget the overall diminishing of masculinity by preaching it's toxic and it's inherently harmful, thus making men feel powerless in their own ability to provide and protect, despite all of the information that we have surrounding fatherless homes. On one hand, men are able to teach young boys respect and how to love and care for their family, and also to be there for the physiological changes that men go through that women don't understand. And in the same way, he's there to teach his daughter what real respect and real loving relationships are and how to respect herself so she doesn't have daddy issues later on. And despite all of this information and how, children will grow up in worse situations, either with depression or more involved in criminal activity, without a father in the home, society will still set it up to brainwash women into believing that they don't need a man because the government steps in to basically be their baby daddy. And this emasculation and the absence of fathers and men's masculinity being toxic has only set up a society of narcissistic women, controlling women, sociopathic women, and women that need control because they don't know how to take leadership from a man. And it's truly brainwashed women into believing that they are the more powerful source just because they work, they have a job, they have finances, and they have incentivized divorces and basically don't need a man. But in reality, the man in the relationship is the government. And this will never stop because so many people benefit from things like child support. You have lawyers, you have, the judges, you have even the bailiffs. You have anyone who is involved with the court system benefiting directly off the downfall and the emasculation of men through child support and other incentivized programs. And when you really think about it, it's really crazy that when women get more powerful or in their mind, they're more independent, their first thought is to take down men. But when men have power, their first thought is to take care of women. So essentially what we have is the oppressed now being the oppressor. And women have been so desensitized to a man's experience that it has led to so much narcissism that when it comes to accountability, she doesn't understand it. And the reason why women don't understand accountability is because they are the abusers. They are the legal system. They might even cohabitate with a man. So you are living together, you are doing all of the things as a married couple, but she is never going to get married because it benefits her more to be a single mother and still get government assistance and all of the benefits to where men don't even have to provide anymore. Is that not emasculation through society where you are stripping and diminishing men down to nothing to where even providing for a woman isn't good enough? And let's not forget that if he doesn't pay his child support, then he could lose his trade, he could lose his license, he could be put in jail. There's all of these consequences for these men to provide, but then they lose the ability to have their leadership in place to raising their family. So you've taken out their masculinity and their ability to provide in the workplace. You've taken away their ability to provide through, financial means and being married to a woman by government assistance and incentivized divorces and promoting this single mother culture. You've also diminished them because they feel powerless in romantic relationships where the women can use their kids against them. They can claim SA, they can claim DV without any proof, and that man will spend years and thousands of dollars in legal fees just to get his reputation back. And when his reputation is ruined, then you're taking away his motivation, his power, his ability to have self-worth as a man. And what's really sad is that we have brainwashed women into believing that their independence is real, but it is a facade based on the ability of men still paying child support, supposedly not being involved, government assistance, and we have diminished and emasculated men into nothing while simultaneously preaching that we want good men in the world. We need men to pay for my nails, pay for my hair, be there. So we get to nitpick and choose our equality, and that's just not how equality works. Okay, bye.
One thing about modern women is, they can't be trusted. So a man is looking for, he's looking for honesty. He's looking for somebody to say, well, my bad. Well, really, honestly and truly, accountability. Can I trust you to be accountable? Can I trust you to be responsible? And it doesn't always mean cheating. Sometimes it's, if there was something that you did, I'm trusting you. I'm believing. I'm trusting that you're a good person and that you're going to apologize. So that's my bad. I didn't mean to do that. Let me make it up to you, or, it won't happen again, or do my best not to do it again. Modern women will go around all of that, not do any of it, and keep on moving like they never did anything wrong.